Well, you know, I have to tell you that we have been waiting months to be able to unveil this to everybody. This is such a special piece for us in the stadium because it ties into everything we've been doing all along the way. So you've heard all these great pieces that we've been doing, such as the art collection, which has been born in this community. It's mostly local artists. You know about the legacy ship out on the plaza. We want our fans to gather at, help celebrate. Ship will react to the game. You know about inside the stadium, closest seats to the sideline, video boards, some of the lowest in the NFL. So we wanted to add one more piece. And this piece was the element for fans that they couldn't get anywhere else. They come to the stadium and they get to enjoy the Experience Center. And this Experience Center, which we're calling the Voyage, mirrors everything we've been talking about with our value system. Being progressive, unifying with the community, and being relentless. And so within the Voyage, how are you unifying? Where's the unity within that? Well, it's learning about the Viking story, the Minnesota story, past and present. Okay, so how do you become progressive? Well, look at this beautiful stadium. We have to do what's been done here, which is build things a different way. Use different materials. Use materials like polished concrete. Use materials like a polished mirror or an aluminum or concrete or astroturf, all within a space that mirrors what we're doing out on the field, what we're doing around the stadium here. And so as you go inside the stadium, you're going to be tested athletic strengths if you want, your knowledge about the team, and you will become completely immersed. And Aaron will do a wonderful job of walking you through each of these different areas. But wanted to just share with you how excited we are because this is a piece in the stadium that does not require a special paid ticket. Our season ticket members will enjoy this as they come to the stadium for a Vikings game or a Vikings event. And this is a privately funded feature inside the stadium. Again, this has not been talked about before. Several $1 million is the expense of this. It's all worth it because you're going to love it. You're going to keep coming back, and each time you come back to the Voyage, you'll experience something different, something new, and a little surprise here and there. And there's technology in it using RFID bands that will allow you to rank yourself, compare yourselves to other Vikings fans. And so I'll throw it over to Erin, and she'll walk through each of these different areas inside the Voyage. But before I do, I just want to give huge credit to the team that pulled these ideas together. It was an incredible team that brought together ideas of our brand, innovation when it comes to fabrication, and the Viking story. And so the team, Zach Tarrant, Jenny Haig, and of course Erin Swartz. So I'll throw it over to Erin. She can walk through each individual element, and we'll take questions at the end.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for giving me a chance to share this with you guys today. As Tanny mentioned, we've been so excited to finally get a chance to talk about this. In fact, we've been waiting nearly a decade to get something like this out for our fans. So we're really excited about the opportunity. In 2016 and beyond, you're going to see the Vikings really embracing sort of our mascot, the Viking Warrior, in a very real way. Not only because it's a symbol of our cultural heritage of this region, but it's a great symbol of sort of the relentless determination of just the people of the North, right? It exemplifies who we are, and we're doing that in a way. You'll see a lot of Tanny mentioned materials, things like stone and ice and carved wood and metal, things that we're saying are the modern Viking. And so fans are going to notice this right from the minute they walk through the doors. As you enter through this warrior entrance, fans are going to walk through a double set of what we call, these kind of grand warrior, larger than life statues, chrome plated to sort of welcome you into this space and let you know you have arrived. As you move just a little bit further past the entrance, above the stairway that actually resides from the Vikings locker room store that's found below, we get to celebrate one of the best Vikings Warriors in our history, Chris Carter, and his amazing 1,000 career catches. So fans like myself that grew up with Chris Carter in the 90s will love this opportunity to celebrate this local hero for us. And we'll be doing that, we'll be symbolizing his 1,000 catches with 1,000 chrome-plated footballs suspended from the ceiling, hanging over this stairway. I don't think you really get the magnitude of what an incredible feat this was until you see all of those balls hang, and you get the sense of that was truly an accomplishment and one we wanted to share right from the beginning. So as we walk past the entrance, we'll get into a space of the voyage that we call the Forge. The Forge is really where we're going to celebrate getting prepared for battle, forging this innovation and the technology that goes to not only into this building, but into this football team. And we'll start with one of our favorite elements, I think, which will be one of the most popular elements in this space, called Prove Your Honor. This is a virtual reality experience which allows fans to literally strap on a helmet and get the chance to field passes from a quarterback on the field of US Bank Stadium. So the idea is that these custom-made Vikings helmets are fitted with virtual reality goggles so that you literally get a sense of what it's like to be on the field. We've all been Monday morning quarterbacks, or in the sense, Monday morning receiver, and so we could have caught that catch. Let's see what it's like now when you have the true intensity and the speed and the pressure of being on the field and catching that ball. What is that really like? Fans will get a chance to catch one practice ball, and then Connect technology will watch their hands move and confirm whether or not it's indeed a complete or incomplete pass. Now the cool thing about this and all the other activations in this space is that they're connected together through an RFID band, which Tanya mentioned. RFID band is a silicone bracelet every fan will get when they enter the site. It allows them to simply scan the bracelet at the scanner at each activation, which will recognize that it's them and collect their score and follow their score along the duration. So you can easily check in and then continue to move throughout the space, and the space knows who you are and keeps track of your score. So this is an opportunity, we think, for both young and old. As I said, we all think that we can do this, right? I could have caught that pass, but now we get the chance to see what that's actually like. This area, Battle Armor, I'm really excited about because it's one of those opportunities where we get to combine the historic legacy of the Vikings with today's modern technology and science and innovation. So this display will have a full uniform, full Vikings uniform from 1969, from 1989, as well as today. So fans will get a chance to get up close and personal and see really how their favorite team's uniform has developed over the years. Really get a chance to see how they differ. But the coolest part about this activation is in front of today's current display, you'll see that there is a clear glass OLED screen. For those who don't know what OLED is, it's basically an interactive touch screen that fans can touch, and in this case, creating the NFL's first interactive uniform display in the NFL. So what you'll do is you can touch a portion of the screen, perhaps the shoulder, the shoe. Information is going to pop up right on that screen telling you more about that portion of the uniform. It's going to tell you about the technology, the progression of it, the layers underneath that build that uniform. So it's really a great way that fans can get up close and personal, learn more. We see our players every Sunday wearing these uniforms, but we don't really have a sense of all the technology and the science that goes into those uniforms that keeps our players safe, performing at their best and dry. And so this is a really cool way to interact with that. Forging Strength is the next space, and again, a really cool interactive opportunity for our fans. So you'll check in with your RFID band. Via the screen, fans will be encouraged to get down into their three-point stance, keep their heads up for football, as we like to say, safety-wise, and hit that pad as hard as they can, with as much strength as they can, comparing themselves to Vikings linebackers throughout history, right? So how strong are you? I think we've all seen the sort of iconic football pads, whether you have the chance to play football back in the day or not. And this is an opportunity I think a lot of people like to get down and see what kind of strength they have, what kind of strength they can muster in this space. As you'll see, all of these spaces, while there's an interactive portion to it, there's also an education portion. So on the back side is where you'll be able to learn more about Vikings linebackers throughout history. So we're connecting both the history of the team as well as the fun interaction that you get to do today. So then we move on into the fleet, which is a space that we like to celebrate community, loyalty, and our fans. And really, I think the hallmark of the fleet, and really this space in general, is going to be this amazing ship that we call the Tides of Victory. fans will be invited into this immersive 40-foot long Vikings longship, which will surround them with an audio-visual experience that's anchored by a 27-foot long screen by 7 feet tall. On this screen, we're gonna have this amazing audio-visual presentation that really gets to the heart of what it is to be a Viking. Not just the players on the field, but the fans that have been supporting this team for decades. So this is really gonna speak to the heart and soul of what it is to be a fan in the North, right? The passion and the relentless sort of enthusiasm we have for this sport that's unmatched in the NFL. When you come up to the North, there's a way this team, this community feels about this team that's really unrivaled. And we think this will not only really speak to the fans that are in the space, but also the non-fans that may be in the space visiting us on game day. That'll really kind of help them understand why it is we here in the North feel so strongly about our team. Should be a pretty incredible experience. Become a legend. This one I think will be great for our fans, both young and old, right? The older generations that had a chance to grow up with the Purple People Eaters and idolize them are gonna love the opportunity to sit down right beside them on the bench. So modeled after this iconic photo we have of the Purple People Eaters sitting on the bench, we've created and are in the process of creating this sort of larger than life experience where you can sit down right beside them. We imagine here that younger fans are gonna love to sit down as well, take their picture, Instagram, hashtag. This is a really social space that we expect to see a lot of social sharing. And finally, we're in the fight. This is a place that an icy space that we like to talk about sort of endurance and will and sort of the thrill of victory. And so we'll see here first at Sky to Valhalla, again, another really fun interactive experience. You'll check in your band and you'll get a chance to test your vertical jump as it compares to Vikings greats throughout history, other Vikings receivers. This very cool, if you'll see, kind of icy glass feature will give fans the chance not only when they jump to measure their total height, but a really cool visual experience as the glass will reflect back on them the total height that they went. So you get this really cool visual of how tall it is that you can fly. And again, tracking that score all along the way, great opportunity to educate fans that are interested about Vikings receivers throughout history, their vertical jumps. Speed Prevails, I think, will be a fan favorite. It's not only because you get a chance to race against your friends and family and other fans within the space, but because you get a chance to race against current Vikings players. So in Speed Prevails, the idea is that this is a shuttle run type experience, similar to the Combine. There's 2 lanes, so 2 fans get to enter at a time. And when they enter, they will be introduced to what player they are racing against. That player's speed is going to be indicated by a light strip down the center of the 2 lanes. So not only when it starts are you racing the individual in the lane next to you, but the light strip will indicate to you, for example, how fast Adrian Peterson ran that same shuttle run. So you can try to beat both the player and your opponent. This is in a space that's overlooking the windows, overlooking Medtronic Plaza. We foresee a lot of fans crowding around this space, cheering on the participants, celebrating victory. We think this area is gonna get a little rowdy and a little fun, and I'm excited to see everyone get started in there. Right around the corner is Lore of the North, and this is where I think we really get to dig into that Vikings history and really share some of these amazing pieces of moments of Vikings history that we've been hiding for years. Without a space to display some of these great items, they've been in the basement of Winter Park or in the attics of some of our fans for decades, and now it's finally a chance to unearth some of these items and display them out and really tell the Viking story. So, pieces of the goalpost that was torn down by fans at Met Stadium in the 1969 season, ticket stubs from that same season, lots of really cool old Bud Grant apparel items that he had personally to him, some things that we just can't wait to show people. So this is a really cool opportunity to slow down a bit, take a breath, because you've just done a lot of activity, and learn a little bit more about Vikings history and share some of those really cool stories that we have. And at the end, we get to the Halls of Valhalla. This is the last time you check in with your RFID bracelet, and you get to see your cumulative score. It will show you what that ranking provides to you. So what kind of effort you put out through the day and how that compares to not only your family and friends, but historical leaders, so all-time leaders in this space. Again, we foresee this being very social. We'll have some technology built into this that is going to encourage fans to share your score, to challenge friends that maybe aren't in the space to come down and try to beat your score. So this is a great opportunity to brag a little, or maybe not, and just kind of bring it all together. So those are all of the areas. Just a brief snapshot. Again, we are looking to open this space closer to the end of August, prior to our first preseason game, and at that time we'd love to invite you all down there to see it firsthand. We wanted to give you a heads up of what's coming. Tanya has a little more to share.
I just wanted to add as well the location of it. I just want to make sure we identify that for you. So the location of the Voyage is directly above the team store. So this is on the west side of the stadium. The exact level is called the upper club level. The upper club level is the exact level that the Skyway is on. So you can access it multiple ways, either through the Skyway system, through that corridor, or through the team store. And it's about 10,000 square feet of space.
Open just game day or open?
Open game days and Vikings events.
That's the point. Okay.
So, anybody can go in?
If you are a ticketed guest on Vikings games or Vikings events, yes, you can.
Any ticket.
Any ticket.
How long do you think the average person will be spending in Vikings Voyage?
Yeah, that's funny. We were talking about that ourselves. And to Erin's point, it depends on how competitive you are
Sure.
and how many times you want to take a shot at some of these. But probably 30 to 45 minutes, we think, is what the amount of time you can spend in there. And everybody will use the space differently,
Yeah.
right? Depending, you may not want to do the athletic tests. You may want to experience the video and some of the content more. So it'll be a little bit different for everyone.
But you've got 60,000 fans coming to a game. How do you manage to flow through this?
Yeah, there'll be ticketed entries, Rochelle, so you will sign up, you can go online and you'll block your ticket, and again, it's a ticketed event, but it's free.
So you have a game ticket, and if you're coming to the game, you should also go online and get a time to enter this thing?
Yes, and you can do it through the app as well.
Okay.
So how unique is this in the NFL? I'm sure there are lots of Hall of Fames around, and I'm sure you all visited some of them. Is this more interactive than all of the others, or most of the others, or how would you categorize it?
Well, I think you're correct. There's a lot of Hall of Fames throughout the NFL. Our focus here was really how do we bring history to life, right? How do we tell these historical stories in a way that's still relevant for even our youngest generation? So I would say we really focused on creating that interactive and innovative level, perhaps more so than other Hall of Fames in the NFL have. Certainly, many of the Hall of Fames have some interactive elements, but that was really a primary focus for us here, which I think makes this different.
And there are a dozen or more stops. I didn't count on this. Obviously, some of them are going to be more popular than others. The flexibility of the space over time, you're going to be able to change out some of these features if they don't maybe work as well as others.
That's what we love about it. In fact, we sort of built all of these items as modules so that we can learn and grow from them as we go. We can add new ones, we can change out content. As Tanny said, it's really a focus for us that every time we come back, and we want people to come back, that would be a little bit different. So we're going to be constantly upgrading this content, even down to the archive items in the lore, for example, so that you're always seeing something new and different.
So for the super competitive ladies and guys who are going through those obstacles, they'll be signing off on some kind of insurance waiver, particularly like the ones where they are hitting the pads and jumping and running.
Yes, and that will be combined when you arrange your ticketed entry.
What do you see as max capacity during the window before game?
We're going to learn as we go. I think to get started at any given period of time, we'd love to have an ideal 250 people in the space. How rotating those people out. We're gonna have time tickets meant to do just that on every 15 minutes, but once we get in there and we see how crowded or not crowded that is, we'll certainly adjust the numbers accordingly.
So what sort of hours, I mean, this is a game day thing, or event day thing. How many hours before or after the game?
We'll marry them up with the team store.
Ah,
Yeah, so if you're at the team store, then you'll be able to head up the stairs as well. There's stairs right from the team store that head up to the
right, but you
Voyage.
have to have the time.
Yep, so
Right.
so as we set up the team store hours, we'll align that with the Voyage, but we'll also have to have a window of time where we shut it off because 2 hours pre-game is ticketed only. So you won't be able to flow up into the team store, into that space 2 hours pre-game. That makes sense.
Thought you had to have a ticket to go into this anyway, right?
You do, but because we have to deal with ticket entry into the stadium and the team separately, right? So because the team store enters right into the stadium,
Okay.
so we have to control the ticketing process there.
Typically in NFL stadiums, there's an all clear portion of time, so you can come in first to the merchandise store, let's say at 8 a.m. But there's an all clear window that makes sure the entire building is clear just prior to the entrance at 10 a.m. So then at that point, you're only letting in ticketed guests, so you don't have that issue. So we'll be open, there'll be an all clear moment, and then we'll be open again for anyone with a ticket.
So if you're not going to a Vikings game this season, you can't get into this.
Correct. Unless you're coming to a Vikings event.
Okay. Such as?
I'd say it was a draft party. If we were doing a draft party at the stadium, then the Voyage would be open for the draft party.
And you don't anticipate opening it ever to the general public, or?
Yeah, we're kind of leaving the door open on that a little bit. We're talking with SMG on what that could look like. But right now, as we open it, as we debut it, it will be for Vikings games and Vikings events.
So if you have a season ticket holder, is he able to get into this any game? I mean, he can go 10 times a year?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
And we
does
love
it
that
keep
part
his
of it.
cumulative score throughout too? I mean, so he can compare week 1 and all of a sudden week 16.
All of a sudden, he's a stud.
Well, or maybe he gained a little bit of weight.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows? It can go either way.
Yes. And that, we love that portion of it for our season ticket members, that this is a space that they can go to once, twice, 10 times, as often as they like.
So it will keep his cumulative score. It'll recognize that fan every time he comes in, or
If you
not?
bring back the same RFID band, what will happen is it will always overwrite your previous score.
Oh,
So if you go back to visit an event again, if you're coming back for a second time and you get a new RFID band, then you have a chance to compare what was from your first visit and your second visit.
okay.
So we'll accumulate your visits.
So they keep the bands, or do they hand them
Yes,
back to you?
That's another great
Oh,
part about it that
okay.
we're excited about, is that you leave with sort of a souvenir. These are a silicone wristband, similar to those that you've seen, and you get to leave with that.
Are your scores posted online?
We're working on ways to integrate them into our app. We think that makes the most sense, and we'd love to integrate it into our rewards program as well.
Can you post pictures next to who got which scores, their face?
There's gonna be a backdoor in so I can bet on such.
Bet on Jeff's scores.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Aaron, you'd mentioned this had been a goal for pretty much a decade. How much more was possible with the technological innovations that you were able to integrate that make this such a special place?
I think that was the most exciting part. We really sat down at the table and said, what's out there? What innovations are available to us right now that we can utilize in this space? And we really started there, right? We know we want to tell a story, but first let's talk about what technology is there, what fun things can we do, and some things like virtual reality, for example, to the level that we can do that now is incredibly exciting. Some of the ways that the Connect technology is going to trace your body as it jumps in the air, or watch whether or not you're catching a pass is pretty incredible. So, and we just expect it to get even better.
And to your question, Stephen, the team, Jenny Haig is behind you, I mentioned earlier, and Erin and her team, the team traveled quite a bit looking at other venues, even outside of the NFL. So even looking at, over in York at Yankee Stadium to see what they were doing, to make, and also observe, to see how are fans using these spaces, what are they drawn to, where's their lineup. And that was one thing that we paid a lot of attention to, was creating a space that we could reduce lineups. Because nothing's more frustrating when you go to a space and it only allows one person to do it at one time, and you've got a lineup of 30 people. And to your point, Rochelle, we've got 66,400 people in the stadium. We don't want to make this a daunting task for them where they've got to stand in the line, they're gonna miss other things that are going on. So that's why the space is free flow. And that's why there's lots of different things that you can do as people are flowing through the space.
Big again is the Ties of Victory Hall in terms of the screen size and the actual square footage.
The total ship is 40 feet long. The screen is 27 by 7.
I don't quite understand what that is. Is it like that hallway here where you walk through and you're watching images of players, or?
It's a little bit like that. It's a produced video, really telling the story of what it is to be a Viking, both a player on the field and a fan. So, but think about it more like an IMAX experience where it's a little bit more immersive. It's going to surround you. You've got the sound coming from around you and the screen that almost wraps around you. So it's a much more immersive audio-visual experience than simply watching a video.
So you get that especially with the curve and the board.
It still seems to me like, I mean, if there's demand for this, I don't understand how many people you think you're gonna be able to get through on a game day. Like, say, what's the max? I mean, I envision, especially at first, there'll be a lot of demand, right? Are people gonna have to be, well, you're gonna have to wait till the third game? Or, I mean, how many people can you get through this on a game day?
Well, so one of the objectives for the stadium as a whole has always been to get people here earlier, have them stay later, and give them lots of things to do. So the opportunity to go through this on a game day is the window is larger than just the game. So it is, as we were talking about, it's when the team store opens, and it will be after the game as well, a couple hours post game. And so we're gonna test it and see how popular it is, and what time slots are getting booked up the most, and we'll stay flexible and make changes along the way. Because the one thing we don't want is somebody, to your point, have to wait 3 games before they get in there.
Is it gonna be open during the game?
Yes.
Are there screens in there to watch the game?
Screens everywhere.
Yeah, we have, well, as you know, then we have over 2,000 monitors around the stadium. And we are looking at where do we position the game screens in there so that it doesn't compete with what's going on in there, but that we also don't want you to miss the game either. So, yeah, we're looking at that part.
Did you actually have to, or will you have to put some of the current Vikings through this to create those images, or are you just basing it like Adrian Peterson's combine time and you kind of are able to create that?
Yeah,
that
most
image?
are based off of combine times or information we know
Okay.
already.
Well, what about that race, the one where you race Adrian Peterson? How long do you run?
So it's a shuttle run, which is basically when you start in a location, you'll run to a point and back and to the point and then back to the finish. And that's the exact same technique that's used at the combine. So we have the players' speeds from that, as well as that was an opportunity to give them a longer run, but in a shorter space.
It's not as 3-hour workout that you have to duplicate.
It
then,
is
right?
not.
Okay, good.
Although I bet a lot of fans would sign up for that.
I do want to just mention as well that the space is ADA accessible.
And this is separate from that Viking ship with the curved sail, right? Alright.
You can see a couple pieces tying in nicely together, whether it's the curved board that's inside, as we were just talking about. There's the curved sail on the legacy ship as well. So there's certain elements that we've stayed true to that have influenced each other, but completely different purposes.
Ship was properly funded, so you have different places inside the stadium, whether it's the Medtronic area or whatever. Will those names be posted as to who is supporting this particular area or the overall experience?
This is not sponsor supported.